everybody, and welcome to the Energy of Manifestation podcast. I am your host, Leslie, and we have a super amazing guest here with us today. My friend and mastermind partner, Stephanie Wiens. She is a proud mama and fellow entrepreneur, and she believes that a happy life equals a healthy body and mood. Yes, I said that right. Health. No, I didn't. Oh my God. I do not edit. So this is what you're getting. You're getting raw. A happy life equals a healthy body and mind. So see, when you get caught on trying to do it perfect, it
There
throws.
is no perfect.
I know.
There
So
is no perfect.
anyway, welcome, Stephanie, and here we are.
Thank you, Leslie. That was perfect. That was imperfectly perfect because there is no perfect. And I really think that I tried for most of my life to be perfect, and it caused a lot of stress. Anyways, um, which is I'm in a very different place now. And thank you for allowing me to be here. My motto is good food and good mood. I think a happy life has to do with putting good food in your body. And I don't mean like all the time, but most of the time. And good mood. And so like how I've been able to do that and let go of the control, I think has really, brought me to where I am now. So it is what I wanted to chat with you all about today. So thank you for having me. This is so fun. This is my first podcast.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you on the podcast.
Yeah.
This has been a long time coming, it feels like. Anyway, um, so as part of the podcast, a new addition is we have a question and answer segment. And the question that we had submitted for this week, I feel like you would be perfect to riff on with. So the question is, how do you stay in a good mood?
That is a very good question that I don't know that I could have actually answered in January or be like really answered. Um, but I got to the point where I was like, I gotta let things go. I was a micromanager, and that does not put you in a good mood as soon as someone does not do what you want them to do, right?
Yep. Yep.
Or as soon as something does not go the way that you want it to go, it can like really. And so I've learned to really let go this past month. And it's really made a huge difference. And when I find myself not in a good mood, I just get general about life. Like I'll just look outside and be like, that's a pretty bird. Look at that sky. Um, oh, look, the snow is melting. Like I get so general, so like out of my head
Mhm.
on on something that, I'm not really too connected with, to just, you know, get my vibe flying high again.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the good mood. Like I just drop everything and I'm like, honestly, oh, bird, oh, sky, look at that tree, right?
But what you're doing is you're grounding yourself in the present moment. Because when
Right.
we are visualizing, and there's two very much parallels. We can get so caught up in the future and what we're trying to create that we forget to be here and we forget to be grounded. Or there's the other way that we get so caught up in our past and what we said yesterday that we still aren't living for today. And that's one thing that we're guaranteed. We're only guaranteed today because every day you wake up, it's today. It's never tomorrow. Tomorrow's always tomorrow. So, yeah. So, I didn't know if you were consciously aware of that, but you're grounding yourself in that present moment. And
Absolutely.
And when you focus on that, it's like, oh, all of the rest of it still like just falls away.
Because the only power that we have is right now,
Yeah.
right? And so if we find ourselves in like a tiff on whatever,
Yeah.
it's normally not about our right now. And if it is about our right now, we can just look up, take a breath, get like really present to like, is this really a problem right now?
Mhm.
Or, you know, can I just take a breath and pause like I shared this morning in our
I was
study
just
club?
thinking of
I know,
that
I saw you.
too. Yeah, so in our study club this morning, we were reminded, Stephanie reminded us that like if we just choose when those situations come up and we feel ourselves getting all anxious or fearful or worried, if we just choose to pause and the example you used was Marion Morrissey, right? Or Mary Morrissey. Um, her husband had just lost his job. And instead of getting the emotions and, oh my God, he lost his job. What are we going to do? Da, 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 da. She chose to pause her reaction, wait 3 days. And then in that time, he got another job that was better than what he had. And so when we choose, she was staying in the present moment because in the present moment, she was okay. Everything was fine. The finances were fine. Like, so just beautiful.
Yeah, I love that story and the pause. And the other thing too that came to mind was the redo. Like when we think about what like the past, I use the redo with my kids all the time. Um, I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, and with my husband too, I'll be like, so I'll, you know, act in a way that I prefer not to act or say things or whatever. And then I'll be like, oh, I really wish I hadn't done that. And so I go ask them for a redo, and then I redo the scenario in the way that I wish I had responded versus reacted. And so that kind of takes care of like the past stuff, like the near past stuff. You don't, and I think the like really past stuff, we're probably the only ones that are still thinking about it.
Yeah.
If anyone else was still involved, they've like it's probably nothing to them. So we can just write ourselves a forgiveness letter. I do that a lot. I'll
Yeah.
write myself a forgiveness letter and be like, I forgive myself for blah blah, blah. And I just like crunch it up and just throw it away and then let that go. It's really it's been a lot of just letting go,
Mhm.
a lot of letting go.
Yeah, and actually it's funny that you bring up forgiveness because I've been working a lot with myself on that and it never really I know I've heard that clip before about the law of forgiveness with Bob and Mary. So if you haven't heard that before, I recommend like trying to find it on YouTube or something, but it is a powerful reframe on the power of forgiveness. And what that entails is basically when we choose not to forgive, and I've caught myself in this pattern before. When you choose not to forgive, you are actually blocking your awareness from receiving love. And that had like a giant V8 moment here for me. Like you're basically just shutting the door because it's got nothing to do with the other person. You're just shutting the door. No, I don't. And the universe is all about love. So when it just like the dots just have clicked for me. I don't know if it was the same way for you when you like,
I haven't even watched that one. It's just through like our studies that I've learned about the like forgiveness.
yeah,
But I
I
have not watched that yet.
I
So
I highly recommend listening to it. And if you feel like I love the example she uses at the end because if you feel like you can't forgive someone, like they've just done something so horrible to you, or that you perceive as horrible to you. Um, and you just can't find yourself the able to forgive. The example is, even if they're hit by a Mack truck, maybe it starts like, I forgive them even if like they get hit by a Mack truck. Like it starts very extreme. Like I forgive them and I hope they get hit by a Mack truck. And like, because you can still fuel it and eventually they're able to let it go. So interesting.
It helps them to kind of like dissolve all that like anger and whatever else is built up in there.
Yeah, because they're still choosing to, by doing it committed, they're still choosing to forgive
Mhm.
and remind themselves that, so eventually the emotions dissipate because he's focusing back. Okay, I'm gonna forgive. I'm gonna forgive. And like it does dissipate. So it's very interesting. I highly recommend you check it out because I think
I will check it out.
you'll,
That was, yeah, that's been on a I forgot about it. It was like very present last week, I think, when it was shared in our community.
yep,
And people were like, I'm studying this, I'm studying this. I'm like, oh, I gotta get to that. But what I was studying is also really, really juicy. I'm
yeah,
like, I want
yep.
to finish this first.
And it'll come in like exactly when you need it.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So we just,
That's it. Let it go.
all right. So why don't you share with us a little bit about what's been going on with you the past little bit and the transformation that you have been undergoing and what that looks like, what that's all entailed.
Yeah. So I feel fortunate for the situation that we're in, where it kind of feels, well, it felt like shit was hitting the fan for our family in like a whole bunch of different ways and aspects of life. And I'm just like, what's going on? Like, I've been studying mindset, so things should be going better for me. And
Oh my
um,
gosh, I love that.
right?
Because I can
So
see myself right there too. That's why
yes,
I love it.
I'm like, I'm doing the work. Why? And so I was like, okay, this is clearly an opportunity for me to grow somehow. And this is where the like controlling part came in, was I'm still trying to control so much. And I'm like, if I, let's just see, they tell us like let go, like let go, let God, or like give it to the universe. The universe will, like, universe has got your back. I'm like, I think this is all happening for me so that I actually let go, because I cannot control all of this right now. So it was my invitation to just relax and let stuff go and just be present, be more present, and do what I loved doing. And so I started to do more of that. And at first I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna work. So I don't know how that's gonna work. But I do work. So today's my birthday, and I'm like, today I'm just gonna follow my bliss and I'm gonna do whatever I feel like doing. So I'm like, I feel like being on a podcast today. I did laundry. I felt like doing laundry. And I'm like, so it doesn't look like, I'm just taking bubble baths and eating chocolate and whatever, you know. So okay, let me go back for a sec. So I said, all right, I gotta just let go, because I can no longer control everything that's going on. So I said that I would do whatever I had to stay in the best mood that I possibly could. And so I was going outside more often. I was doing more yoga. I was doing our daily success habits more, because that always makes me feel better. I listened to Abraham Hicks a lot. Like anytime I didn't have to focus on things, like if I'm doing dishes or laundry or like planting our microgreens, I'm listening to Abraham Hicks, or I'm listening to Bob Proctor. I'm listening to someone that's going to like, nurture the good mood in my mind. Um, but it was always like feel good stuff. It wasn't, that's not true. Sometimes I was like learning about things, and sometimes it was just like really light and, just something that I wanted to listen to. Sometimes it was music. I'm not a huge music fan. I prefer to listen to people like kind of talk to me. So anyways, so tons of Abraham Hicks. And and then I would just follow intuition. And intuition I used to think was like these, you know, big, beautiful, magical things, and it's not, right? And which
Nope.
I know you know.
Yep, yep.
It's just like turn here instead of here. And it doesn't even feel like you're listening to intuition. You're just like, oh, for whatever reason, I just feel like going here today instead of going this way. And so I would just do all those things. And it brought me to a whole bunch of different places that I now love. So it brought me to this microgreens business.
Yes,
And
I wish
I
you were in
say,
my area.
yeah, I know, right? I say that it happened by accident because it was not an intention at all. I just kept following my bliss, following my bliss, following my bliss, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness, we're growing microgreens and selling them. Like it, that's almost how what it felt like. And so that tells me that I'm in the right place, right? And then there was something else that I had been kind of like pulling at me to like let go of. And I finally decided, okay, I'm going to let go of this thing. And that day, something else came. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm just listening. I'm just more aware. And I had to slow down to do all that
Yep.
because in the busyness of trying to control everything, I couldn't hear those, those hits to like go do this or that gut feeling to go do that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question. I feel like I just kind of like,
No, that no, but that was like that was absolutely amazing because we can't calibrate to our next level when we're carrying all this shit that's weighing us down. And like you said, we can't hear the noises that or can't hear our guidance system because of that. So when you strengthen your intuition, then you get to be a bit familiar with what it sounds like for you. And that's why I love to teach that, when you're connecting to your intuition and you're new to it, to make it like in your calendar and make a scheduled time to connect to it so you get used to what it is for you and how it sounds for you because your way of tapping to your intuition and how you receive your messages is different than mine. My messages aren't the same all the time. Like I can get very dialed in with I am strong in my visual and auditory. And then when I really need to pay attention or really need to follow through, I get shoved forward. Like it'll feel like a shove. So, yeah. So that is just beautiful. And I love how you bringing like it brought you here and it landed so perfectly. Like you're like, I know this is last minute, but like, can we record that podcast tomorrow? Actually, yeah, like just absolute brilliant. So case in point, like when you allow your intuition to guide you, you're allowing your GPS. We have our own internal GPS system. But if you have the car radio on and you're in heavy traffic and there's horns honking, you can't hear when it's telling you to turn left. So,
and that also makes me think of the story that I shared. I think you were on about the guy who was stuck in, or not stuck in traffic, but he was trying to get somewhere in Chicago and he stopped at a gas station to pick up a map and he picked up a map and he's like, this is not making sense. And he was late for something. And because he was all frazzled,
yeah,
and then it actually turns out that he had a map of Detroit. So he would have never found his way in Chicago with a map of Detroit. And that's what we actually end up using. So
yeah,
our like map of Detroit is our five senses, which is all past stuff, is what we see and
yeah,
hear and taste and touch, is all manifestations from what we've thought and felt from the past. And so
yeah,
to look at it and to use it as our guide for the next step does not make logical sense. We have to go to our intuition, which is that the map of where we want to go.
yeah.
The map of what we see is where we've been,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
And those senses are important when using your intuition too, because it helps to like anchor in those future memories too. Because I wish I could just be in people's heads because the process that I teach inside Source for connecting to your intuition, I take them through the rainbow and it's like, okay, what does the color red smell like? And they're probably like, what the hell? What red doesn't smell, but it allows you to tap into something different. What does the color red taste like? You could immediately in my head right now, I just saw like one of those red heart-shaped suckers, like whether
Ah,
they're cinnamon, but you could have like, and it doesn't have to be a red flavor, but you could have like strawberry jam. It's
you that's
That's how our intuition works. We're channeling the same information.
oh my gosh. That's
So,
so funny.
so, and then, so getting back to like your story. So, how have you found by letting go of all of this stuff? How has it been sort of calibrating to your next level? Have you, by letting go of control and all of the things, because essentially what we're doing when we're moving to our next level is we're calibrating to the frequency, to the vibration of that. And if you're trying to calibrate while tied up in a straitjacket with rocks around your ankles and a backpack full of rocks on your back, you I would think that like you can't calibrate, like you can't move, you're stuck. I love visuals, if you haven't figured that out already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say it's like being really gentle with myself.
Mhm.
I also used to be, up until yesterday, someone who would beat up on themselves for like, how am I still here? Again, like I've been working on myself for since I've been 16, like that I consciously aware of, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
Um, and so why am I still here? And so to that point, first off, we will never, ever, ever stop growing. So there will always be a gap. We will always be calibrating. So I've kind of let that go. And knowledge too, right? Like understanding how all this works, because I would always try to like reach a point and read it, but there's never a point to actually reach because there's always going to be more. Anyways, so being very gentle on myself and recognizing, like I try to bring humor. Like when I recognize that I've picked my backpack back up, being like, oh, Stephanie, you silly human, put that backpack back down. You don't need any of that shit,
That
right?
shit is no longer yours to carry.
No, no. Like the universe will deal with it, or like, it'll come up in a way that it'll be easy for me to like let go and dissolve, or I'll write myself a forgiveness letter, or like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this hard thing. I don't have to go through hard stuff to get on the other side of it. And I think that's one thing that I thought was that life had to get hard before it got easy.
Mm.
It doesn't have to be that way. Oh my God. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's so funny that you also bring that up because um I'm in the midst of creating an article. Actually, this is kind of insider information because I haven't even announced this officially on social media, but I'm working on an article. And one of the things that I wanted to answer is like, what is one thing that you could change about your industry? And that is it, is that healing does not have to be a hard, long, drawn out process. You get to shift instantly. And that has been something that has changed, like, really deepened and like hit home the more I've kept at it and expanded my consciousness and awareness around it. Like it when people say it really you really have a choice, you really do. And it's you get to choose. There was a moment in time where I would be like I would say, sometimes I just wish I could go back and be the ostrich with my head stuck in the sand and not know all this information because like you said, it's never ending. But I couldn't live with my head stuck in the sand. And now there's been a huge shift. It's like, oh my God, like I get to continue to expand and create and grow and like tap into all that is, period.
And it gets to be easy.
Yes, it gets to be
Like,
easy.
right? We can decide that. We can decide whatever it is that we want. So why not decide that it can be easy? Like, who says it's got to be hard?
Yeah. That was a paradigm from like the early 1900s,
Yeah.
right? Like, hard work is what gets you successful. And well, no, the hard is choosing to stay focused and exercising your will muscle. And not that it's hard either, but that is the dedication. And I think they misinterpreted dedication and hard work. It's the dedication to your goal and where you're going. It's a whole nother thing. Whole
Yeah.
nother thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just like plug this in here. So again, when I was just letting go and I just kind of like followed intuition, and then all of a sudden we've got this microgreens business. This is not hard work at all. Like, this is so absolutely fun for me. I love to grow, and now I can grow all year round.
That's
And
amazing.
it's like blown up so quickly. And I'm like, I know I'm in the right place because of how this is going.
Yep.
And it's not hard work for me, right? It's gonna like that would be hard work for some people. And
Yeah.
so it's just like, but I had to let go. I had
Yeah.
to like drop the drama. I had to drop the hard work. I had to oftentimes I'm like, no, I'm supposed to do this. I should do this. And I
Right.
tell my kids all the time, I stopped shooting on myself. You guys should stop shooting on yourself too. And I stopped shooting on myself. And anytime I was like, you should do this. And I'm like, no, no. That's when I like backed away, and I would go in the kitchen and I'd probably cook because I love to cook. That's another thing. But I would just go do something that I love to do and just get out of that shouldness, and then be like, okay, what do I actually want to do right now? Because what I want to do is what, I'm being guided to do, which will actually bring me closer to my goal
Yeah.
versus what I think I'm supposed to do.
Supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, microgreen business, I saw your story the other day when you said it's harvest time. I meant to message you and be like, well, how do you harvest them? Like, I'm assuming you just take scissors and like cut, but
And just a knife, yeah.
yeah, you should show that. And then the other thought that literally just came in as you were talking about that is, do you, because plants also have consciousness, and do you thank them for the nutrients? Oh, you do. That's awesome.
And I and I pet them, and I'm like, you guys are so beautiful. Like, I love on these plants so much, which is probably why so many people want them, because they're like,
Yes.
it's not,
I've
they're
seen
not just,
your like testimonials. So yeah, it totally makes sense
yeah,
why.
yeah,
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
So, if you're in the Ottawa area and you are wanting microgreens, I will get your link from you and you can get them directly from Stephanie. And when they come into the rest of Ontario, we will get some down here.
Yeah, the link is easy. It's happyrootsmicrogreens.com.
Oh, well, perfect.
There we go.
Perfect. I'll get that later. Anyway, um, well, so right now we are going to do a special activation for Stephanie. So if you are a member of the portal activations, which is like a separate behind the scenes access to the podcast, you will get this activation and what I guide Stephanie through to expand her business and awareness and all of that good stuff. So, thank you so much for hopping on, and we will see you guys all next week.